Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for takeoff. This is the first episode of Take Flight Talk. Okay, we are on the runway. The wheels have aligned. We are ready to take off and soar. Uh, we got your boys. It's James Wudi, and we got Fitz in the building.
How we
Fitz,
doing?
how you feeling?
I don't know. I'm excited, but this whole tease Salah gave us this week, Mamma Mia.
It's
And for it to get pushed back to now week 4, I'm excited for this week. I think there's a lot of things we built on in the offseason. I think there's a lot of great things that we did. We put in some pieces where we needed to. Still got a concern over a run game. I don't think that was as much addressed as it should have been this offseason. But passing defense is going to be strong. Brought in some great weapons. Hopefully Joe Flacco can put something together this Sunday. And I hate myself that I had to say that going into week 1. Could you imagine a month ago we were sitting here, we're like, oh, hope Joe Flacco can do it. Good grief.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to feel. A month ago, I was very confident in a lot of things. I was confident in the offseason. I was confident in the coaching staff, the direction, the GM. I just feel like there's, just a lot of shadiness, a lot of murkiness. We have yet to hear an accurate, prognosis from Robert Saleh when somebody gets injured. I mean, Mekhi Becton, the whole year, we were expecting him to come back last year. He never came back. Now this year, he went down in a heap. He said it, it's perfectly fine. There's no structural damage. Now he's out for another year. Zach Wilson, everything's fine. He might play week 1. Now with no further explanation, he is out until week 4. There's just a lot of just shadiness, murkiness, lies. I don't feel like we're getting the God's honest truth, which is crazy because, the perception, the portrayal of Robert Saleh is that, he's a, heart on his sleeve, a people's person, right, that speaks from the heart. But I just feel like we're being lied to. I don't love what's going on. I certainly don't love Joe Flacco at all. And for the season, there are definitely things that I'm looking for or looking at, but I'm definitely not expecting a lot. When I said we taking off, I didn't say that we flying high. We just getting off the ground.
Well, I agree with you there, and I think there's a couple things. So if we look at the Mekhi Becton situation, like Salah said in that presser that he did with Zach, he was like, everybody heals differently. We don't know. It's hard to go and really, guesstimate these things out. And when you look at someone like Mekhi Becton versus Zach Wilson, Mekhi Becton's weight is measured in metric tons. So when you got a man that massive, that is a tough thing to go in, especially when it's a knee injury. You've got multiple metric tons on these knees. That is hard. That is hard to come back from. And it's there's all these rumors. Is there a work ethic thing? Does he really want it? And you don't know what's really going on. But that one was tough. That one really hurt going into it. I think I made my position known on Mekhi Becton. I think he's a little bit of a lazy guy, and I want to be proven wrong on that. I'm rooting for him. He is someone who I once considered the future of the left tackle position. But just in the last year, with the information that we were given, doubts, are rising for, I think, a reasonable, perspective. But Zach Wilson, the initial prognosis, we were told 2 to 6. So if he comes back after week 3, and if Salah wants a full week of practice leading into the first game that he plays, it's on the back end of that timeline, but it's still relatively within that timeline that we were initially given. So considering we all thought he was out for the season when that knee popped, I hate that he's not playing weeks 1 through 3. Would love to see him start the season. But, at the end of the day, I think we also need to kind of take a step back and be grateful, considering I was on suicide watch at a restaurant when I was watching this game. I was at a wedding party. I was the night before a wedding, and literally the entire dinner, the mood was ruined because I'm sitting there half crying, half trying to throw my glass at somebody. So I think we got to be grateful that he's not out for this season at least.
Well, I mean, based on what we saw in preseason, I don't even know how grateful I truly am. It just doesn't look great. I have not seen, like, when we actually get people on the field, and paper is one thing. All right, paper champions, things looking good on paper, Madden, all this. But when you get on the field, you got to execute. I mean, Chris Strevler, I can't believe I even said that name, but he is somebody that was executing. Am I saying he should be an NFL starter? No. Am I saying he should be on an NFL roster? I'm not. I will be ready, though. Strevler, when you in the XFL, you best believe, all right, I'm getting that jersey, and I'm going to be betting you to be the MVP of the XFL whatever season that it picks it back up. But I am saying that I have not seen execution from the people that are supposed to execute. And I just – I'm trying to, stay on the wagon. I'm not jumping off, but I just don't love a lot of things.
It depends on how you define execution, Woody. Because if you look at Joe Flacco's preseason game against the Giants, if you consider the word perfectly executed an interception to the third string Giants defense, perfect, flawless. Honestly, I couldn't throw an interception nearly as well as him. I don't think anybody could throw an interception nearly as well as him. Pick six against the New York, not even the Giants starters, which would be embarrassing in itself. The third string Giants D-backs. Oh my God. Very concerned him going in, but I will tell you what, I am slamming the overs on the Joe Flacco interception numbers this week. That's what I know for sure.
But Zach also threw a horrendous interception. Like, it's not like Zach in his showing was any good. But I will say this, right? There is a possibility. We already know, right? It's preseason. They're not going in, full strength. Maybe he was taking it lightly, right? Threw that bad pick, staring down. I believe it was Corey Davis, just staring him down, threw the bad pick, so that the next series he was like, oh, you know what? I got to make up for that pick. And then that's when you end up doing too much and, blowing out your knee. That's what you could probably say happened to Zach. So going along with that, okay, fine. Maybe he's not trash. But what we've seen, like what we saw, the stats, he was not good. So either way, whether it's the first one or the second one, there is still room to be concerned, because if it's the first one, then mentally he's not here. And if it's the second one, then physically and still maybe mentally he's not here. So we're taking off, but I'm telling you, any buildings, any skyscrapers, better watch out.
Well, I agree with that. And I think what's concerning is, as a second-year quarterback, the kid's going to throw interceptions. He's going to do it. In preseason, regular season, it's going to happen. What were we – like, if we're going to play Flacco over Mike White, Mike White actually won a game in the last 5 years. Flacco can't really say that, or 3 years, I suppose. Flacco can't say that. Mike White played at a high level, be it for one game, maybe 1.5 games. But he did something special for us last season, coming in a position where he wasn't expecting to get on the field at all. So Joe Flacco, why we would start him over Mike White, you would think, is the veteran experience. Show me where the veteran experience was. If he can't do this in the preseason against the Giants' third string, what are we to expect? And I know it's preseason. You don't want to blow up preseason, stats and situations. But if you're a veteran, I don't care what's going on, you need to not make those plays. You need to be better than that. And that's very concerning going into a week one against the Baltimore defense.
I mean, I definitely don't want to make this the soliloquy about Mike White, but I do think he is the better option to start each and every game that Zach Wilson is out. Everybody says, oh, well, he had one good game. The way I see it, he really actually only had one bad game. Okay, he came in in the Pats and actually threw a touchdown, which is something that Zach Wilson never did against the Pats, throw a touchdown. I mean, I don't even know if Sam Darnold has thrown a touchdown against the Pats. Like, they have been embarrassing our Jets young QBs for years. And Mike White comes in, first drive, throws a TD. I mean, yeah, we lost by 41 points, but when he came in, we were down by 40. I mean, I don't understand how that's a pin against Mike White. He had the Bengals executed very nicely, right? I can't say it was perfect because there were definitely mistakes, but he had 400 yards and had a game-winning drive. When was the last time we were on our feet like that for a game-winning drive like that? That ended in a TD, the 2-point conversion, so swaggy in the end zone. I mean, he comes in Thursday Night Football, prime time, all eyes on him. The national media, his jersey's in Canton, okay? and he was doing well. He just got hurt. So, yes, he had the bad Bills game. The way I see it, it's one bad Bills game. It's not one good Bengals game because he was executing before and after that. I think he would execute again now. I mean, after Flacco's pick six, we didn't see him for the rest of the game, but Mike White only had 2 incompletions, right? 2 touchdowns, and was making Denzel Mims look like Randy Moss. So, like, I don't understand, but we will be forced to watch Flacco. We'll be forced to watch Joe. And, I mean, that's one of my points, right? Side2sidesports.com, the Wudi 3, one of the main ones is, how much flack should we give old man Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I don't know. Against the Ravens, like this is like this game, maybe. You want to face the Ravens. You're mad that they cut you. They left you for Lamar Jackson, who's way better than you and already won a season MVP, which is something that you can never do, even if you tried. Which I don't even know. Were you trying? Who knows? You were just getting carried by a elite defense. But this would be the game where he can finally try win for the first time in 3 years of NFL play.
I'm with you. And, it's one of those things too, just for my last point on the Mike White versus Flacco thing is, Mike White, that team loved him last year. That team loved him. They were holding him up, parading through the streets. Flacco's son doesn't even respect him. Did you see this video? Flacco's son is even like, who the hell is this guy? Like, who do you think you are? He's refusing to get tips from his father, who he doesn't even believe that is any good because he probably wasn't old enough, probably wasn't even born when Flacco got that Super Bowl and had some couple good games. But we'll see what happens. Not very much looking forward to the offense, or at least the quarterback play on the offense. Love Michael Carter, Breece Hall duo. I am extremely excited for that. We were talking about this in the group chat earlier. What the heck's going on? There's a couple things in this depth chart that I got some questions about, and I think I'm not quite understanding. What the heck is going on where we are not using Garrett Wilson in our top 3 starting wide receivers? Why is Braxton Berrios, the blonde hair kid himself, and this is not Braxton Berrios hate. I think he was great filling in when we were short on receivers. Garrett Wilson was a first-round pick, early first-round pick. Why the heck is he not in the starting 3?
I mean, he's definitely going to get burned. I think one thing that we saw or that we have been seeing is that Salah is going to be having these waves, right? We saw, the defensive line, there's going to be waves. I mean, Michael Clemens is not listed as a starter, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to get plenty of action on the field. Pencil Garrett Wilson in that same vein. I mean, there's a lot of talent here, and that's something that is kind of crazy to think about because it's not like we have, elite talent, right? Like there are 0 players in the NFL top 100, but our third string is like kind of competitive with our first string, which is why, in my opinion, the Jets won every preseason game because, we would get roasted by the first string, but that third string, like Michael Clemens was playing in the fourth quarter, like we have talented guys. So we are going to see those waves. I wouldn't worry about that at all because there are definitely certain packages where I'd rather see Braxton Berrios. So the shiftiness, I mean, he has proven, in his Jets time that he is worth playing time. And Garrett Wilson will obviously be worth playing time as well. So I wouldn't even worry about the depth chart. We already know people besides Denzel Mims are going to get burned.
Well, that is a fact. And I'm hearing you on this. I understand the packages. It's surprising that based off of the depth chart today, that it's going to be Garrett Wilson working in as opposed to Braxton Berrios working in. When you have these three wide receivers that we were expecting to be our top three, Elijah Moore, that if Braxton Berrios is in the top three, he's going to presumably be the slot. So are we trying to use Elijah Moore not in the slot? I guess, when we were looking at this team going into this season, I was thinking, great, Braxton can work in, get some work in as he does, but we're going to have, Garrett Wilson and, Corey Davis on the outside, and we're going to have Elijah Moore at the slot. And it sounds like because Elijah Moore is so versatile, I'm assuming Coach Salah wants to see him on the outside a little bit more, wants to kind of change things up. We also have two tight ends now. We haven't had a tight end since Dustin Keller. So, being able to go and have so many pieces, looking at this depth chart going into week one, my gut says that there's going to be a lot of things different come week 2, 3, 4, going through the season, especially the tight ends, where I think Tyler Conklin's got a very good shot of taking that number one spot. I think they're probably going to be both on the field often. I don't think it really matters who's the one tight end versus the two tight end because I think they're both going to be on and off the field. But Tyler Conklin, I've got very high expectations for this year. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's a superior pass catching option. After the catch, Tyler Conklin all day. I mean, Uzama, I'm not gonna lie, is like pretty slow, but he's obviously a tremendous leader, right? Great blocker, right? That's why he's out there. Like you said, they're both gonna be out there pretty much at the same time. But if we're talking fantasy, anybody picking Uzama over Conklin is a buffoon. I'll just say it. I'll say it. You're
buffoon. I agree.
But Elijah Moore on the outside, I mean, it's going to be prime time, man. I think he is going to be the brightest star on the outside since Odell. Similar body type, similar skill set. Honestly, the route running, the shiftiness, the speed, the elusive speed. So I'm hyped to see him on the outside. I think he's going to make a lot of corners look silly out there. This first week, I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, they got probably the best duo of corners in the NFL, both returning from injury. They are going to be hungry, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes this week. But I definitely am expecting Elijah Moore to have a great season for sure.
100%. And I think before we get over to the Woody 3, I want to talk about this defense. There's a couple things. Obviously brought in Quan Alexander, who I was excited about. I was honestly not really expecting him to be a starter when we first got him. I like Sherwood a lot. Nazir Ladine, whatever the heck, I think we cut him. That was kind of a lot of surprising cuts.
Yeah, you did.
To get down to 53, but based off what we saw in the preseason, the guy hits hard. I was surprised. Maybe my research wasn't as good as it should have been on him. I'm thrilled that we got someone that can win that, starting, linebacker role. I could see some jumps being made, between CJ, Quincy Williams, and Quan to go and help with the run defense. But something you and I have spoken about, I don't want to say spoken about, screamed about, complained about, cried about, was this gosh darn run defense last year. Do you think we made enough moves this offseason to make a leap here?
Well, honestly, I'm just gonna have to rope the Woody 3 in because this is literally the number one point on the Woody 3. It's the very first thing that's discussed is the unstoppable forces versus the very movable objects. All right, those movable objects are clearly the Jets' defensive line. Have we done enough? I don't think so. So to answer your question, which was more about the season, I mean, I like Quan. Quan is cool. do not criticize my friend Fitz's research. Your research was probably perfect. The thing is that Quan hasn't played much of meaningful football in the last 2 years. He's, injury riddled, and now, he's always been a high motor, high energy guy, but he's just been injured. So now we just hope that he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he'll probably make an impact. We already saw some of that hitting power, against the Giants, right? So, Quan, welcome to the squad. I think Nasruddin is on our practice squad, so we still could be seeing more of him. But the defensive line, I mean, we were talking about Jordan Davis, who has been making Philly fans so happy all offseason. That was somebody that we were talking about. I'm not mad with our draft, right? Welcome to the squad. The big three, or really the big four, throw Breece Hall in there. I'm excited for all of them. But that defensive tackle position, I thought they were going to move Franklin Myers inside, based on that same depth chart that you saw. That does not look to be the case, which I personally think is a mistake. I feel like we need Franklin inside. We have so much depth on the edge that if you throw Jermaine in there, you throw Clemens out there, Jacob Martin is actually a pretty good edge rusher. You throw any of those guys out there, I think that's better than throwing Solomon Thomas out there. Because Solomon Thomas, first of all, Sheldon Rankins, we were blasting, right? His PFF grades are all atrocious. They're pretty much, in the 30s and the 40s. It's like a winter day, or his PFF grades. We're blasting that. But Solomon Thomas graded lower than him in every metric. So how we were playing what? So I know, Salah loves his boys, and this is where, coaching, right? The coach always brings in their boys. If Adam Gase was a coach somewhere in the NFL, I promise you, Frank Gore would be on that roster. Right? Like, people have their guys. But I'm not sure. I feel like there's a real big hole still at that defensive tackle position. Hopefully the linebackers, we know CJ's going to be CJ. Quincy's still super young, so we hope that he takes a step forward. I actually think we're about to get run. The numbers that I used in the Wudi 3, like if we're talking now about, specifically this Ravens game, Ravens were third in the NFL with their rushing attack. Okay, they averaged 145 rushing yards per game. Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, is one of the most intricate run schemers in the entire NFL. He's had a 1,200-yard rusher more than half the years that he's had his job. So they're gonna run. They're gonna run, and that's our weakness. We were the fourth worst in the league. So what I'm saying, what my goal is for this game, if we can hold that team to 130 rushing yards, which is a lot, right? We definitely don't want that to be the average, but this is one of the best running teams in the league. So if that can be our ceiling of what we give up, then I think that would be a huge step in the right direction if I see a number less than 130 this week.
No, I like that, because at the end of the day, I ain't really worried about the wide receivers for nothing. I'm really not. Mark Andrews, he's going to be a problem. He's going to, if you're going to take anybody to go and have 2+ touchdowns this week, Mark Andrews is your guy, in this matchup. Lamar Jackson did a lot of that running, obviously, talking about we're trying to keep him under 130. J.K. Dobbins does not seem like he's going to be playing this week. I just saw Lamar said yesterday, we hope to have him back in a couple weeks. I think he's still listed as questionable. We'll see if something changes. This is coming from Lamar. It's not coming from a doctor. If J.K. Dobbins does play, we still don't really know who he is. So at the end of the day, I'm not super concerned. If he doesn't play, great. Because then he's got Mike Davis, Justice Hill, and Kenyon Drake in the lineup. Kenyon Drake is apparently, according to ESPN, the third wide receiver on that team. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I would probably put him at number 1 over those clowns, but either way, the runs up the middle. Solomon Thomas, he's a big guy. So to an extent, I understand why you want just a big bodied guy in there when you've got Quinnen, who's a little bit undersized. But if it's going to be mostly Lamar that we're concerned about rushing. I think it's going to come down to, is JFM going to be able to lock in out the outside? Because we know Carl Lawson can. Carl Lawson, he's not going to be running. Lamar's not going to be running to his left side. Carl Lawson will be stopping him. He will win more of those matchups at least than lose. When it comes to JFM was very, this is some of the things that we talked about last season. Joe Douglas doesn't take out that old pocketbook too much. But for some reason, he wanted to lock up his boy JFM. And, I think it's good. I like JFM. We got Jermaine Johnson. We've got our boy Michael Clemens. I would love to see them work in more. I hope this is not the game. My predictions is at some point this season, we're going to go and have Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, Michael Clemens, and Jermaine Johnson be the starting four. I think Michael Clemens, when you got someone that's sick in the head, he is a sicko. These interviews he does, him on the field, this guy is horrifying. When you have someone on your team, they need to be playing, period. And whether it's working in or if they're able to find a way to repurpose him and put him, inside, I would love to see that. I'm hoping JFM comes back with some authority this year, but, we're going to have to go and see what happens with him and his ability to go and stop that run outside.
No, I like JFM. The contract definitely seemed a little weird, with the pocketbook. But no, he's been underrated for so long. I felt like, now he probably feels validated. And I think this season we're going to see a great year out of JFM. For a lot of them, actually pretty much everybody besides him, they've been like the only dogs on their line. Like Carl Lawson, that's what we always say, right? If there are some other dogs, but now they're all here together. So it should be really exciting. We'll see about Clemens. We know he's going to get time. There's no doubt about that. Whether it's, the very first snap or not, I wouldn't even hold too much stock in that, but we'll see what happens. But these Ravens, they're going to run, even if it is Justice Hill might end up with 100 yards. Like literally the runs that this man schemes up. I mean, that's what they've been doing. They've had the revolving door all these years. Like they haven't even had the same running back in back-to-back years, right? Because they had Ingram, Dobbins, other guys come in. Gus Edwards comes in.
Yep.
But no matter who it is, that person is rushing for 100 yards and 2 TDs every week. So even, Mike, they all, because they are jabronis, right? They are, but they average 6 yards a carry when Greg Roman is scheming it up. So if Solomon Thomas can use that big body to actually get into some of these holes, I mean, that's what I want to see, because they always clowned Adam Gase for being an offensive guru that had the worst offense in the league. But Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach who had the worst defense in the league. No one's putting the clown nose. No one's getting the paint yet. But I'm literally sitting next to a bucket right now, and I'm ready. All I need is a brush. I need to see something. So that 130 number, that's definitely a number that your boy James Wudi is looking at. Can we hold them under 130 rushing yards?
I like it, and we'll be eyeing this up come Sunday, 1:00 in MetLife. Oh, I'm excited. I despite the fear that I have, I'm so excited. I don't even care.
It's crazy. It is definitely crazy. I'm excited. I'm definitely scared. I'll hit you with one other number that I'm looking at for the Wudi 3, and that is the differential. All right, the Jets, as we just said, horrible. Gave up the most points in New York Jet history last year at 504. That is, by the way, more than 30 points from the second worst team in the NFL. So we were really, really bad. Horrible. Terrible defensively. And our margin of loss was the second highest in the league as well. It was over 16 points per game. That's more than 2 scores. Obviously, a 41-point loss to the Pats, inflates the number. But it's not like we were losing nail biters. We were winning nail biters, right? We were winning by 3, but we were losing just 30, 40, 20 points, shut out by the Broncos. So what I love always hearing from Salah, pretty much everybody from the head down, literally Woody has said this, Joe Douglas, everybody, is that, you work hard today, you work hard so that you're better than you were yesterday. So what they're trying to do is close the gap between themselves and some of the elite teams in not only the division, but the conference. So how can they close this gap? Close the differential, the point differential. So I'm not expecting us to beat Baltimore. But what would be very shocking to me is a 20-point loss to Baltimore. So the magic number there, Baltimore last year, their average margin of victory was 8 points. Can we, if we are to lose, can we lose by 7 or less points?
I like that. And thank you for bringing those stats in, because I wasn't having bad enough of a week with Zach Wilson not playing. So now I got to be reminded of how historically bad our defense was last year. Thank you, Woody. That's making me feel warm and gooey inside. Yeah, no, I like that. And I think at the end of the day, we brought in some good guys this year. And I think when it comes to that point differential, having Carl Lawson back is game changing. I mean, I cannot state this enough how important. Oh, the Queen died.
What?
I can't state how important this is, because this guy being able to get pressure on the quarterback, being able to get to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's a quick son of a gun, but Carl Lawson being able to get over to him, apply pressure on, make him run. It's going to make him less accurate throwing the ball to DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. DJ Reed, I think, is a very underrated signing this year. I love DJ Reed. Sauce Gardner, I mean, for him to have given up 0 touchdowns all through his college career and not have a single attempt on him in the preseason doesn't mean much, but that's a testament, because you would think if you're a quarterback playing in the preseason, you're going to want to attack the young guy. And apparently they were either not open or, they were just looking somewhere else. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on, but for whatever reason, Sauce Gardner was not targeted. And I think there's something to say to that. We'll see how this translates going into the, first stringers. But having these guys, then having Jordan Whitehead, LaMarcus Joyner back, this is a completely different team. If we never say the name Ashton Davis again, we will be the happiest people on the planet. But, we're going to have to see what happens. I think we did bring in some great people to the secondary. So I don't think it's going to be anything like we had last year if we can improve on the run side, because I know there's no doubt in our minds that we have gotten better. And there's no reason why we should have a massive leap in the secondary against the passing game. But the running game, like we said, didn't quite do enough. We're going to have to see if, these pieces come together to keep them under 130, that magic number.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The secondary does look like just exponentially better. And maybe we'll see some picks from the Jets secondary this game. I mean, Sauce definitely. I mean, now he got the sauce, right? So he's trying to get that Buffalo Wild Wings, stock up. So he, hopefully he's playing those passing lanes, and we see a pick. But the most interesting pick that we can look at today are Fitz picks. Talk to me, Fitz. How's it going? How's it hanging?
All right, so we don't have any prop bets in for the Jets game. It's too early. They don't have any lines on receiving yards, interceptions, anything like that. So I will be posting them on the Instagram account as soon as they are available. Probably going to be either tomorrow or Saturday. But I've got some magic parlays. See my hat? I feel like I'm wearing a Jets yarmulke the way my hat looks backwards. All right. So Fitz picks. I'm going to start off with an 8-leg parlay, straight money lines of who I'm liking for week 1. This is paying out plus 43.89 as of yesterday. So I've got Bengals at home against the Steelers. I've got the Eagles on the road against the Lions. I've got the Colts on the road against the Texans. I've got the Saints on the road against the Falcons. A lot of roadies on this one.
Okay.
I got the Panthers at home against the Browns.
What?
Oh, big time. Baker's coming for blood. He is coming for blood against Jacoby Smoked Brisket. I am not worried about him for nothing. And then we got 49ers away against the Bears. That should be an easy one. Titans home against the Giants. Absolute slaughter. And then the Broncos on the road against the Seahawks. Russell Wilson is going to be getting his redemption against the Seahawks. So there's a couple in here I want to hear your thoughts on. You think the Panthers-Browns, I'm nuts.
I don't want to say nuts. There's definitely a possibility that Baker goes scorched earth. You know, like Russell might throw 9 TDs against the Seahawks. But Baker, I don't know. And the defense is very, very good. Like the Browns defense is one of the best on paper every year. Or let me not say every year, but like the last 3 years. Myles Garrett is no slouch. I feel like they're all getting better. Like they're all young guys that are just getting better and better. On the other side of the ball, other side of the coin, I mean, the Browns still have an elite O-line. I know the Panthers' D is actually pretty young and hungry. They surprised a lot of people last year, and they got better. But, I mean, I still am expecting Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to just gash them up. I mean, Jacoby won't have to throw 400 yards. That was never their MO. When they won a playoff game a couple of years ago, Baker wasn't throwing 400 yards. Mm-hmm. What they need is a manager. And I think that's where, Baker got them messed up because he is not a manager. He's a gunslinger. He was hurt. He's not, the greatest gunslinger. They just needed a whole new fix. So I don't know. I mean, the motivation is there, but I feel like some people in those scenarios, obviously they go scorched earth. Like Russell, I think he'll be composed. He knows what to do. Baker, he might just be firing away, just guns blazing, just shooting, hitting people in the stands, hitting the sidelines. Like, I don't know. Like, I think we might see 5 TDs. We could see 5 picks, like just him just throwing the game away. Because we already know in here, that's all he's focused on. Like, I don't think he has had the maturity needed to actually be a composed NFL quarterback.
We will see. Having CMC over there, in Carolina, having DJ Moore to throw to, obviously Robbie Anderson still. I'm really liking the motivation. I'm liking him coming in and having a CMC type where he's not going to have to be a gunslinger. I think going into this game, he knows what that defense is. You know what I mean? He had beef with the coaching staff. He had beef with the front office. From everything I've seen, it seems like he was boys with most of the team. So he knows what this Browns defense is. He knows what they look like. I think he's going to know who to pick on. I think he's going to know some of their strengths and the weaknesses. However, the same goes back, to Baker. And I think the difference is Baker's going to be working under Matt Rule. We might see a very different Baker than we've seen in that he's not going to be this gunslinging, lunatic. He might throw down the field a couple times. He might just be doing a lot of dishes off to CMC on the other side of wherever the heck Myles Garrett is. So who knows what this Panthers team is going to come out firing with. However, I think Baker having the motivation, having, some fun weapons around him, I think he's going to come in there and he's going to win the home game against the Cleveland Browns. And I think there's potential. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it could be a 2-score game. I just don't see the Cleveland Browns offense being able to pass enough because this Panthers defense is going to be prepared for the run. When you got 2 running backs like that, you know what's coming. And when you got Jacoby Brissett there, you got Amari Cooper. Every Dallas fan that I've spoken with said, get rid of him. He's a bum. I don't really agree with that. I think he's still got something to work with. But I think the Panthers are coming in. They got more to play for, and I just don't think the offense for the Browns are going to be able to get enough on the board.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. My rebuttal is if I'm CMC's doctor, I'm definitely being like, yeah, continue working the offense through him for sure, and just racking up all those medical bills. But if I'm any other person in the world, if I'm his teammates, his coaches, his mama, I'm like, stop. Like, you need to stop. The boy, he can't do it. He can't do it. He's 26, okay? And he's just been breaking down. We've seen so many running backs fall off a cliff. Todd Gurley, he's not even in the league. He's okay with just being retired, but he's like 26. Like, he is a baby. People just fall off. We were so hyped, everybody, Jets Nation, to see we got Le'Veon Bell. Didn't know that he already fell off the cliff 2 years before we signed him. So for CMC, I can't say so confidently that, he will be the focal point of this game. I'll also say that listing Baker's weapons does absolutely nothing for me because he had Odell, Jarvis Landry, Nick, like he had great weapons around him and did nothing the entire time. So I don't know. That's my.
But you had OBJ complaining left and right every time he was on the field. There wasn't much synergy.
And what happened in LA? He was having a great time. OBJ is a tremendous player. Baker is so. I don't want to say bad. I don't want to say bad.
Yeah.
But he's such a shady leader that he literally had the whole world fooled that Odell was washed up when that is clearly proven to not be the case. He's done the same to Jarvis Landry. Jameis, we're about to see another 30 for 30 with Jameis Winston, 5,000 yards, and we're going to see Jarvis Landry have a resurgence too because Baker kills receivers. DJ Moore, who's been the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL, the only one with over 1,100 yards in the last 3 years, literally the only receiver in the league, that streak's probably going to break because Baker is Baker. So we'll see. We'll see. But I have faith. I have faith in Fitz's picks. You guys better have written those down. You might want to switch the Browns to the
Well, the final pushback I will give you on Baker. This is a Jets podcast. We are Jets fans. This is what we talk about. When it comes to Baker Mayfield, I think he's got something to prove, not just athletically, but is he someone people can work with? And I think this has happened numerous times when players have these accusations on them because shady leader, that could not have been better said. That is perfectly defining who Baker Mayfield is. But going into Carolina, he gets to leave the state of Ohio. Wouldn't you be happier if you got to leave the state of Ohio? If you had to live in Ohio as your main mailing address, like I would be miserable. Like, you get to leave Ohio. You get to beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. You get to go down there. You got some new guys. You get to build up some new relationships. And you'd hope he learned, well, I burnt every bridge with my receivers over there in Cleveland. Let's go and do something different this time. So it's going to come down to him. If he smartens up, meshes with the team, I think he's got a lot to prove, both athletically and as a teammate. So we'll see if he can do it.
Well, no, those are definitely some good points. I would definitely be upset if my main mailing address was in Ohio. Oh my gosh! But yes, so you got any more picks for us? That's good.
So that's my 8 leg. Again, Bengals, Eagles, Colts, Saints, Panthers, 49ers, Titans, Broncos. I think Panthers is probably one of the ones that is a little bit more the deep track ones. I think every other one of these are looking like a lock. Every single other pick that I have here is at least minus 3.5 points. That's the Eagles or the Lions. After that, it's all 5.5 point spread. Panthers are only minus 1.5. So that's going to be a close game. We're going to see what happens there, but I do think that they pull it off. And that's my 8-legger for this week. And then stay tuned. I'm going to be posting a screenshot of some of the prop bets that I'm going to be putting in for the New York Jets and the Ravens this week, depending on what the line is for Flacco. Because going into it, I mean, if it's 0.5, if it's half an interception, I'm taking out a small business loan and I am putting it on, yes, over for 0.5 interceptions for Flacco. If it's 2.5 or 1.5, I don't know. I think he's going to settle somewhere between 1 and 3. My guess is probably 2. hoping that experience comes out to limit those issues. But absolutely, at least one. You could lock that up.
All right, so everybody stay tuned. All right, don't take out the small business loan yet. Wait for Fitz to show you the prop bets on Instagram. All right, that is Take Flight Talk with the underscores, right? Take _ flight _ talk. All right, we're ready for takeoff. That is week one, the week one discussion with your boy James Wudi. All right, we got Fitz over here. And yeah, you saw the numbers. All right, you got the parlay. You're going to get the bets, 130 rushing yards. And can we keep this game within a 7-point loss? Or can we actually win the game? We'll see. All right, until then, let's go Jets.
Take flight.